Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shasheena. Rolle. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, the National Junkanoo Carnival Commission stepping up its promotion of the Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival that is slated to kick off on Grand Bahama next weekend on Tano Beach. Members of the commission believe this cultural event could become a big marketing tool for the country for years to come. Yesterday, consultant with the Grand Bahama Cultural Carnival Committee, Ginger Moxie, made a stop at the Freeport Rotary Club to bring the business community up to date on the upcoming festival. Italia Hall was there.
Consultant with Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival, Ginger Moxie, telling Rotarians that Junkanoo Carnival was created to market Junkanoo and Bahamian arts and culture to the world. She says this mega event will rebrand the country as a viable entertainment and cultural destination.
I believe that the concept of Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival is good for our people, good for our island, and good for our country. The reality is our people are benefiting from Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival. It is impacting our local economy.
Moxie says the whole experience has already provided many job opportunities for Bahamians.
But my greatest moments during this entire experience is the fact that I can walk into the production room and see so many formerly unemployed Junkanooers who are now earning a living through the production of costumes for Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival. This, for me, is what it's all about. Creating a sustainable industry for our island and our country.
Minister for Grand Bahama Michael Darville also giving Rotarians an update on plans for the two-day Junkanoo Carnival. He says this event will create the critical mass needed for tourism in Grand Bahama.
We will have a full house on Grand Bahama, and for us that is economic impact for our island, and it affects all of the local restaurants, transportation, our hotel employees, and the list goes on and on. So the trickle-down effect is really what we're trying to accomplish, and the economic impact studies have clearly indicated that we anticipate for this first event an economic impact of 3 to 1.
The meeting concluded with one of the Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival semi-finalists, Georgina Ward, performing. Italia Hall, 7S Network News.
We want everything we need, Bahamas. Well, the Grand Bahama Health Service is boasting of a great level of efficiency as it relates to its pharmacy operation. Health officials know that this is symbolic of the improved quality of care provided to its clients on Grand Bahama. Megan Shepard reports.
Hospital Administrator Sharon Williams sharing the latest improvement at the Ram Memorial Hospital, an almost empty pharmacy waiting room. This is all thanks to plans put in place to decrease the wait time and the offering of a drop-off and pickup service. Williams says the public has been asking for more convenient services, and the Public Hospitals Authority continues to deliver.
There were instances years ago where clients would get their prescriptions, and because of the limitations in the service, were unable to get medication in a timely manner, either because of the long wait, short staff, lack of services in other area that's closer to their homes. The Grand Bahama Health Services have done all that we possibly can in a short time to improve and extend services throughout our community.
Deputy Chief Pharmacist Leonard Stirrup says while the pharmacy caters to both inpatient and outpatient clients, they are still seeing significant time improvements. He says at one time, the pharmacy at the Ram Memorial Hospital was the only public health pharmacy on the island, but thanks to pharmacies now in 8 Mile Rock Clinic and the Paris Plaza Clinic, patients have more options.
Also, we have extended the hours of pharmacy, whereas before we were just open from 9 to 5 we have extended it so those patients, especially the government workers who were trying to get here for 9 and had to come back for 5, so now they can drop off their prescriptions between 8 o'clock and 9, and then they could come back during the day at some point in time.
Stirrup says these results can be attributed to a combination of efficiency and convenience. While wait time is shorter, he assures the public that quality is not being sacrificed.
The problem is that when you don't see people, you think that there's no work. But what happens is when people drop off their prescriptions, those prescriptions have to go through the processing period, and that is what keeps the machine going. So when they come back, they don't have to wait an hour before they can get their medications. We get it. It's filled, it's alphabeticalized so that it's easy to locate. But we also have the convenience of those patients who are here and who does not want to come back. They just come in, pick a number, and they will flow right through the system, and they're in and out.
Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
In other news, a Grand Bahama resident is taking issue with the Grand Bahama Memorial Park. He contends that its current situation is disturbing. Here's the story.
Sterling Ferguson says he watched his mother die back in October 2014. He says the pain of losing his mother continues to plague him. He regularly visits the Grand Bahama Memorial Park, but what he discovered recently, he says, is just unacceptable.
Grave markers were scattered to and fro, and there was heavy-duty equipment out there working, a backhoe, a dump truck, and a small, what you would call, I think it was a bobcat, okay? They were digging and just doing works. But it appears to me as if they're disturbing the graves in order to get their work done that they came to do.
Ferguson says the grave markers for many persons who died particularly late last year are no longer on the graves, but instead placed on a pile. He says this could mean that family members coming to pay their respects for their loved ones may not be able to identify their graves.
That's a great challenge, you understand, because the grave marker is there to identify where that loved one is located. And if it is not there, and if your memory is not photogenic, you just would lose where your loved one is laying, okay? And why? Why should these grave markers just be scattered all around as if no one cares? That shouldn't be.
He's making this appeal to residents whose loved ones' markers may have been uprooted by the ongoing construction at the Grand Bahama Memorial Park.
You need to check on their graves, make sure it's in order. Other than that, the loved one could be lost. If there's not marker there, it will be lost.
And here's what he has to say to the operators of the Grand Bahama Memorial Park.
We've got to do better. We've got to do better. You've got to pull your workers to the side and say, hey, it needs to be done this way, it needs to be done that way, okay? God is the God of law and order. So in everything we do, especially with the dead, though they may be dead, okay? They were once our loved. And I still have love for my mother. I will always love my mother. I say to the persons who are in charge, to the relevant authorities that may be, it needs to be done better.
Now, Park Director Randy Lightfoot confirmed that excavation is being carried out at the Memorial Park and that they are putting in burial walls and extending the park. He says the grave markers were removed and placed in safekeeping until the work is complete. These markers, he notes, are just temporary until headstones are put in place. He's hoping that the work is finished by the end of the month. In other news, a leading government agency committed to addressing the plight of residents. In this latest effort, officials are attempting to cater to the whole man while experiencing a time of renewal themselves. Joan Davis Rolle reports.
Various social outreach programs, Urban Renewal 2.0 has unified local communities. And now this Friday, it was a time of renewal for urban officials from all of the centers here on Grand Bahama. They came by the busloads to the Urban Renewal Center in Pine Ridge, Freeport. Precious pearls from the east and from the west, all uniting for a time of excitement, competition, and most of all, fun. Deputy Director of Urban Renewal here on Grand Bahama, Michelle Reckley.
I am very pleased today where we are now because, 5 to 6 years ago, this never existed in urban renewal. So regardless of what the naysayers say, and we have to bear in mind that there are some people who live behind gated communities. They will never appreciate this program because this probably means nothing to them. They never live in an urban area, so they don't know what it is. But I can say to you that the Bahamas on the whole appreciate and feel the effect of urban renewal. You can see the difference. You can see lives being changed. You can see youngsters being pulled off of drugs. You can see families coming together, and that is what we're about.
Reckley further emphasized the goal of the overall event.
It's always good when we can get our seniors from behind those four walls of sitting home all day, watching the grandchildren or waiting for someone to come home, and to bring them with us to have a fun-filled day. And as you can see already, they are certainly enjoying this day and having a good time.
Reckley says the event could not have been a success without their social partners like the Defense Force and the police. They were joined by leading seaman Rosito Thomas, along with Woman Police Constable Makona Sims.
It's very important. I work with Urban Renewal through the Royal Bahamas Defense Force Rangers, and we always come together and do small initiatives and help with community building. So it's always good to work along with Urban Renewal and help build a community.
It's very important, very exciting. It's always good to see the young and the old get together as one. Being involved in a community event and stuff like this is it's good for the community.
Joan Davis-Roll, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition continues right after this.